Well, since we're still on this this wave this morning, I want to go ahead and drag Meghan McCain. It seems like she has been blind to her privilege on Wednesday. So that was yesterday on ABC's The View. Meghan McCain made a very interesting point about identity politics and the qualifications for being the host of The View. Let's take a look at what she said.
Excluded women farmers. And so we're going to a place where even if people need money, even if people are qualified to get into Ivy Leagues, race and gender is more important than your skill qualifications, the content of your character. It is not what Martin Luther King Jr. preached. I think this is a very slippery slope. I was very surprised to hear someone like Tammy Duckworth say something like this. She got a lot of blowback from a lot of people, not just on the right. And I think this is actually just the natural progression of identity politics. And I will say, just to put a cap on this, The View is 25 years old next year. We've only had one Asian American co-host this show. So does that mean that one of us should be leaving at some point because there's not enough representation? We're talking about, is identity politics more important than qualifications of a job? And I think that's a question going forward that the progressive left is going to have to reconcile.
Okay, and before we go, because we're going to go and take a break, eventually we're going to come back and talk about the black farmer.
Like Whoopi don't be stunting her, man.
Whoopi, at this point,
not at all.
Right. At this point, Whoopi, every time that Meghan McCain speaks, she just. Okay, so we're gonna have more after this, or the fact that she said we're at some point in this show we're gonna get before this show is over, before today's show is over, we will be talking about those black farmers.
See, and then that's what she tried to tie. She tried to tie that black farmer story to identity politics and trying to make it seem like these black farmers didn't deserve what they get. That said, there is nobody more unqualified on television than Meghan McCain. She literally has no skill set other than being the daughter of John McCain. In fact, I wish we had that clip of every time she speaks, she says, as the daughter of John McCain,
my dad created Arizona, so I am qualified because my dad, do you know John McCain? My dad created Arizona. Do you know where that is on the map in the United States? Do you know? So that qualifies me to be right here on The View. And first of all, every time she does this, April said something. It's funny. April Rain, shouts out to April Rain. She had tweeted out. She was like, every time. She's like, no, shouts out to Meghan McCain's hairstylist because she wakes up and she chooses violence every time. And this is how I feel about that. I thought it was funny for something totally different because I feel like every time Meghan McCain comes through with something, to me, she's giving urban hairstyles and talking as this white woman who has this, white privilege, but she's giving big urban hairstyles to me. Y'all see me on here. I do my ponytails. I do my pigtails. That braid down the middle that you were just laughing at, that's giving dinosaur on her head. I've worn that hairstyle multiple times.
Like a whole ass velociraptor.
But I've done that though, where the braid is down the middle because that is an urban hairstyle with the piercings in it or the jewels in it. That's an urban hairstyle. So you sit here and you bash a lot of these identity politics and things like that. But sis, you're saying that you should somebody be off the show? Should you be off the show because there's only one Asian American in the history of The View? We all said yes, and that was something that we didn't rehearse because that we understand that you should be off because you're not qualified. When you first got on, everybody knew you weren't qualified, but you still stayed because of your namesake. You know what I mean? So, and you learn politics throughout the way. Now, I can't say. Because a lot of people say that I am not qualified to be.
Don't even go down that road. Don't even go down that road.
I'm going to go there. But what I'm saying is I am. I've had the history. I've done this. I've had, the learning, the school.
Got the degrees.
I got the degrees. But even outside of that, I got the street knowledge, right? Even outside of that, I'm just me. Now, I fit this position. I would never go somewhere where I don't belong. Now, and I'm not saying that Meghan McCain doesn't belong here, but she's using her white privilege to say, just because somebody's black or white, we can't give them what that doesn't qualify them. Like why should we look at this black person who has a master's degree who fits the description of what we're looking for? Because why should we look at them? Because we need somebody black, especially in this ridiculous idea of diversity and inclusion. If we're gonna run with that and walk with that whole thing, then yes, on The View, if we're looking for a black person, we're gonna look for the best person who fits it that happens to be a black woman on The View. What do you have, Meghan McCain? Sweetie.
Her father.
And that is it.
That's it.
That is it. Your name which is white privilege, Karen stuff.
Period. Think about Whoopi Goldberg. Like, I'm not a huge fan of Whoopi, but Whoopi been on the scene since, like, I think Color Purple was the first time I really found out who Whoopi Goldberg was. Like, she has been a part of American culture since before Meghan McCain was born. And can you think about what it must just irritate someone who has that level of experience, expertise in media in general, to have to put up with a trust fund, unqualified, highly mediocre individual like Meghan McCain just sitting there and asserting her opinion as if it is, one, a qualified opinion, and then two, as if she's actually saying something good. Because it would be different if Meghan was actually like a prodigy with how she thinks and what she says. She gets up there and says a whole bunch of stupid stuff, and yet everybody on the stage has to put up with it because her father was John McCain. That's the ultimate identity politics, is when you can go all the way to the top of this country with no talent whatsoever based on who your daddy was.
And it's funny because that show at one point was really leaning right at some point, right? And then you got these women of color coming on, and especially at a time where talking about racial issues, we needed to have a black person in the room. And now, like, The View has been taken over by women of color. So, and now even the white folks that are OG on there, they had to step up and be like, adjust themselves and how they were carrying themselves. Meghan McCain thinks that she can still utilize this conservative, this hard right
she thinks
mindset. Yeah, because she think that that's what's going to still get her where she needs to be. Her being dragged, especially her being, a millennial, whatever, her being dragged way down, like her being dragged from where she was when she first got on there thinking that, I'm just going to sit around here, say my little disrespectful comments, especially like yesterday's comment to me was very disrespectful because it had a lot of racist undertones to it, like, period. Like, you're white and there is no qualifications for you. So are you speaking to yourself? Because you literally are saying just because somebody is Asian or black doesn't mean, and that's not what qualifies any of the people that have been on The View. And when have you seen a person of color on The View that did not have the background necessary to have that position?
That's it.
When?
I like that.
But these white people can come on and literally just be unqualified, no background, and just have a seat. These white women, and just have a seat. So when she said what she said, to me, it had it gave big racist energy.
Who is the most unqualified host to ever have graced the stage of The View? Meghan McCain. So shut the hell up, sis. Get your check. And stop actually setting yourself up for even more failure by exposing exactly how mediocre you are, because you are the least qualified person to ever sit on that stage. And yet you're sitting there complaining in the most Karenist of all Karenism that I have ever seen in my life, talking about somebody not being qualified. Look in the goddamn mirror. Look in the mirror. Damn. What else you got, Rebecca?
No, that's it. Man,
Looking in the mirror.
Oh, go, Meg. If I see you on these streets,
they keep saying identity politics like they got something. Oh, if we just say it's identity politics, we could break it down and be like, because underneath that is the fact that they don't really believe that we're qualified. And that if any black person, a brown person, or Asian person gets in a position, it's because they don't think, particularly black folks, y'all don't think that we qualified. I would pick a random black person off the street underneath any shade tree, and I guarantee you they will give you a more robust analysis. I don't care if they had just got off a whole 3 blunts and a 6-pack of whatever their favorite drink is. they will be more qualified at this than Meghan McCain, because in this country, black folks have always, time and time again, had to be 10 times better than these mediocre white people who get all the money in this country.
Yep.
Look at the content they produce. No shade to nobody. But look at the content they produce. Every morning I get up and I do this because I want to do it, right? And I've learned that I no longer want to be in a box that, mainstream media puts me in. But I watched my colleagues who did the same job as me just walk into the room, have the work done for them, and they really have to do no work and leave. Me, I'm required to do 10 times more because of the shade of my skin, because of how I do my thing. Right now, if you go to a white show who does exactly what we do right here, exactly what we do, they're funded differently. They move differently. And even if, and I'm not saying that they're not qualified, but we do 6 more jobs than that. And we, even without the money, y'all, even without the money, we're still here doing that, in which we deserve our space and we deserve our time. We do not. And so when I hear Meg McCain say those kind of things, and I watch these other networks or whatever on YouTube or whatever on CNN or whatever, or whoever's, take their places, knowing that they had no qualifications whatsoever, it really irks me. It irks my nerves, because history in media, history in women's talk shows showed us that it had to be the best black person to even make an appearance when the hosts were all white. When the hosts were all white, saying nothing, and they had to reach for the best black person to come on, and it took for that to be okay. Now we know that black people can do stuff. It's like, come on now, guys, we're here, we're good. We're most times the best because we have to do 6 jobs. So we do have a little bit more knowledge at times, and we do have a little bit more drive at times because it's required of us. You think if I had it easy that I would just come on and give y'all all I had every morning? No, I don't have it easy. I don't. That's true. No, y'all don't pay, and I'm not trying to smash y'all or whatever, but y'all don't pay us. So it's like we really come here with all we got, for real, with the genuineness of our hearts. You know what I mean? So, and that's on that. I don't need, look, y'all got me going. Send up them super chats.
Did you just patch it?
Send up them super chats.
Oh man.
Anywho.
That's that on that. I just, it's just it's the lay of the land. And it's always been the lay of the land. I've been doing this for 6 years. It's the lay of the land. Like we do have to do 10 times as much to get a fraction of it. And it's to
get looked at. To get looked at. Yeah. It's literally ridiculous. Like, I go on Pinterest and I look for in order for me to look at black people, anything, I have to type in urban. Yeah, that's the thing. You got to type. Everything comes up white.
Here's a perfect example, and I think everybody can see this. Take a look at a person doing a dance. Let's just get a general example. A black person who does a dance, right? And they're the originator of that post on social media, let's say TikTok. And then you just get a random white person to do the same dance, not even half as good. They did it, but they did it. And that person builds an entire career, well-funded career, off of the exact same thing that they just took from that sister or that brother who did it. And that's just, this is the kind of privilege that Meghan McCain exists in.
Look at her hair.
Because she could, look like she literally is able to sit there and make millions of dollars every year with the most mediocre of opinions, the most unqualified takes, and just downright nasty attitude that just is unbecoming of a human being, let alone a host that is supposed to facilitate a conversation to engage the United States in. And yet she gets the entire bag. And now she has the unmitigated gall to turn around and say, oh, but they're not qualified identity politics.